Hey there, troopers. Rabbit here, and today I want to talk about 30 tips that can help you out in Advanced and Secure or AAS and ARC mode for the game Starship Troopers Extermination. So there's going to be 5 tips for each class, and this video is going to be about class-specific tips. And if there's something for a specific game mode, I will mention that. All right, let's start with a sniper. All right, first thing you got to ask yourself is what kind of play style do you want to play as? You want to play as something that's a mobile support unit, meaning that you can go out and eradicate patrols that pop up, provide covering fire for the team that are doing objectives and having the capability to do objectives yourself, such as the what's it called, the ore refinery, and if you're on arc mode, the gas refinery. All right, so that's one way to play. Another way to play as a sniper is kind of like what people normally think of as a sniper, just sitting still, right? Stationary support unit. Now, this class, or not class, but this playstyle for this class is more about providing covering fire for your team. You're not really there to be on the objective or even do the objective. You're there to get bugs off of people that are doing the objectives, right? So those are like the two main styles to play as a sniper. But if you want to mix it up a little bit, totally up to you. These are just tips and suggestions. All right. This, however, leads me directly into the next tip: gear and perks. Let's first talk about the perks, okay? So if you find the mobile support unit playstyle interesting, or you find that to be the playstyle you want to play as, then the perks you want to use are Marathon, which is when you run for at least 2 seconds, it drastically increases your sprint speed. You just need to be out of combat, nothing has to hit you. But because you're going to be running so fast, you're most likely going to be outrunning everything. All right. And then the other perk that you should be using is from the Emergence Galactic Front perk roster list here. This one is Logistics Training. You don't get slowed down when you're carrying a held item such as a ammo can, a toad such as the thing from the Hive Core mission, a FedNet camera, or even a canister of gas and ore. All right. And if you combine these two together with, you combine logistics training and marathon perk, you're going to be running super, super fast. It's going to be amazing how fast you can run. Worth trying. Right. And then the third one, most likely you're going to want to use either high ground or, let me see what it is here. Not here. Where is, oh, here we go. Spotter training. So you automatically scan bugs when you ping them. Either one works. Both have their specific uses. High ground does not have a cooldown, whereas spotter training does. High ground gives you flat bonus to your damage output. How far you are in elevation and how far away you are from the target. It always gives you that X amount of damage. Whereas spotter training It does the ping, but that ability, that perk goes on a short cooldown, so you can't spam it. However, that's good for low light settings like pitch black or when it's just, nighttime. Right? So those are stuff you want to use if you're into mobile support unit. However, if you're interested in like being just a stationary support unit, then use high ground, use spotter training, use directed fire. Directed fire is something we haven't talked about yet. This one is that when you scan something, you got spotter training on, it automatically scans it when you ping it. And then directed fire is that when something has been scanned, it takes even more damage, right? So you'll be able to spend less rounds on a target to put it down for good. However, that's also on a cooldown, I believe. So uh, double check that if you take that into the battlefield. All right. Okay, so what about the gear, right? Well, the stuff that you want to use, play to your strengths. If you want to snipe, you don't want to use. You want to use the SMG, right? That's not going to work. So you got to use the Merida XXX sniper rifle, or use the Hawkeye. But this XXX sniper rifle is superb. It's far superior for taking down bugs at long range. It just packs a larger punch. Right. If you're going to be using that, then put on the reserve magazines. Put on the your choice of standard rounds or explosive rounds. The explosive round is going to have less direct damage. It's going to have armor piercing 1, which is the weakest armor piercing you can have in the game. However, you kind of turn yourself into a mortar system. Has its uses, but either one works. Just watch out for fire warriors. If you happen to kill it with the explosive rounds, it's going to blow up in a ball of fire, and anybody that's around it is going to take some pretty bad damage, so just keep that in mind, right? However, with the standard rounds, if the bugs are lined up in a straight line, you can penetrate multiple bugs with one shot. So up to you how you would like to play with that. All right. Secondary weapon, you really need to use the Emancipator. So if you do get caught on the ground or you're completely out of ammo for your sniper rifle, the Emancipator is kind of like a mini sniper rifle. To hit things at long range very accurately. 1 to 2 shots can stop a warrior from moving because it stuns them, right? All the other pistols will just kind of stagger them and slow them down, but it's not actually going to stop a bug from like running at you at full speed, right? So you can kind of think of the Emancipator as the Deagle from Counter-Strike if you played that game from, a long, long time ago. I'm not talking about CSGO, I'm talking about like, CS 1.6. Holy hell, I'm old. Those are good times. But anyways, those are the weapons perks that you should be using. You're probably wondering, well, what about the utility and grenade? Unfortunately, we don't get very many options at all for the utility, so use the ones that are there by default. However, the grenades, we do have a choice. The best one to use is the High-X grenade. Why? Because it can pretty much one-hit kill tigers and smaller bugs. And if you're leaning into the mobile support unit playstyle, you're also kind of acting as a scout, and you might trigger bug holes, so you need to have some way of like shutting it down before it snowballs out of control, right? So the high-X grenade can one hit kill a bug hole. So have that on hand. All right. So moving on to the next gameplay tip for the sniper. So what are some of the best places to provide supporting fire, right? When you want to provide like a little bit of overwatch for your team. Well, some of the best places are going to be found on Volaka, especially I think it's like near the garage and the administrative area where there's a lot of buildings. So those are a lot of really great examples of high elevation terrain that you should try to find. Uh, some of these are going to have like horizontal cover, meaning like, you know, a little wall, a little blown out wall, sometimes a sandbag. Those are the ideal places, right? If you don't find the ideal place, which happens a lot, right? Then you need to find high elevation terrain that has a large enough horizontal like platform for you to stand on that if you are standing in the middle and or crouching in the middle, it breaks line of sight with any potential gunners that is trying to shoot at you. And the gunners, they are such a menace. They can spot you from like hundreds of meters away, and they will try to counter snipe you. All right, so trying to find something that has at least like, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10 meters of like platform for you to stand on. If you're having a hard time, just find anything really, and then crouch a lot. You don't want to stand all the time because if you're standing all the time, you're presenting yourself as a larger profile for things to spot you, right? Kind of like in real life. All right, so moving into the fourth gameplay tip. So you don't want to camp in a base 100% of the time, okay? You need to ideally go out on patrols, provide a little supporting fire, especially for people that are running ore and gas. That becomes more important if you're playing on arc mode because you can't get those done well, then you're most likely going to fail the game, right? Going to fail that mission. And since you're going to be moving so darn fast, right? You got your good Reeboks on, you got your Nikes. You're going to be able to move out to very long range patrols that pop up on the map. If you let those go, it's going to increase the threat level, and every new bug that is spawned in from an ambush or even another patrol is going to become even more deadly, right? The higher the threat level, the more elite bugs show up. So keep that in mind. All right, so you need to be ideally, keep mentioning it, mobile. You can't just be sitting in one spot all the time. All right. That's, I think, the best way to play the sniper is to move around a little bit. Mix it up. Don't get bored, right? Okay. Moving into the last gameplay tip for the sniper, the sniper's nest. All right. I've already talked about how to find one and what to look for. What I didn't mention is that you should really actually look for uh, 3 places that you can set up shop in. Right, one primary location for you to survey the base in, but you also need to have 2 alternative locations. Why am I saying this? Well, because for example, if your primary sniper nest is getting shot at by Infernos and Grenadiers, well, you just need to vacate that area. If that happens, go to one of your alternate sniper nests and just continue doing your job from there. And then once the heat cools down on the primary zone, then you go back to it. Okay. In your primary sniper nest zone, it should provide you a lot of attack angles for you to see a majority of the base. I'd say anywhere between like 75% to like 95%. Of course, there's never really going to be like that one perfect location. But if you can get into that general ballpark, then you find yourself a pretty good sniper nest. All right, so just keep an eye out for the enemy ranged units because those things can really wreck your position really well once they spot you and zero in on you, which can happen pretty fast sometimes. And hate it when it happens, but man, when it does, it's terrible. Okay. So let's keep an eye out for it. Don't always hard scope. Take a shot and then kind of scan your surroundings. You know, look around, left, right, up, down, and hopefully that will prevent any catastrophes. All right. Okay. Moving on to the next class. Okay, so the next one is going to be the Ranger. And just like the Sniper, you kind of need to figure out what kind of playstyle that you want to play as. Alright. Do you want to be, again, kind of like a high mobility scout? Or do you want to just be one that kind of hangs out around objectives and the base? Well, once you figure that out, well, then you can kind of build towards it. But what do I mean by high mobility scout? All right. So a high mobility scout is one where you're going to be kind of away from the group, looking for and triggering bug holes. And once you do trigger a bug hole, you need to close it. And the sniper has, well, not the sniper, the ranger has a couple of different ways to do that. And I'll cover that in the second gameplay tip. But that's kind of the deal with the high mobility scout. The other thing that you can do is kind of like hang around the objective zone and or the base. What your job is to actually do here is lure bugs away from the objective zones and the base. You can run up really close to a group of bugs and then use your jump jet to, get out of the way before they can make a physical attack on you. This is a what people call like a kiting tactic, where you try to force the attack to go through, but then you dodge or evade out of the way, right? So that's one way of playing the Ranger. There's actually a third way that you can play the Ranger. I just remembered it now. It's actually running objectives, right? Um, the Ranger can be pretty good at running things solo because they get a second chance using the. Let me bring up the roster here because they have the trauma auto injector perk where they when they take lethal damage, you can then be kind of immune to any damage for a few seconds, and then that thing goes on cooldown. And you recover a little bit of health. So that's how they can do things solo and run things by themselves. And if you have the right set of perks on, they can run with canisters and cans and stuff really, really fast, similar to how the sniper operates. Except that the Ranger is a lot better at it because of their boost jet. So the difference between the sniper and the Ranger boost jet is that the sniper is more of a vertical boost jet, whereas the Ranger is a more of a horizontal boost jet. Okay. So regardless of what playstyle you want to go for, every ranger's job, though, is to go after enemy grenadiers and infernos that are super, super far away from the base or like, the active combat zone. And they're being a menace, right? So it's always a ranger's job to go on a deep strike where they go behind the enemy lines and eradicate the grenadiers and the infernos. Sometimes a sniper can do it, but sometimes they can't because of the attack angle that the bugs have on them. So that's one job that the ranger should always do, regardless of what your playstyle is. All right, so now let's actually go into gameplay tip number 2 and talk about the gear and the perks. Okay, so with the perks, you always want to have the trauma auto injector, which I mentioned earlier. Most likely going to want to use bloodlust. So any close range kill that you make, while you have it equipped, you're going to recover health very rapidly. So this can be done with damage over time effects, like from a flamethrower, a knife, your secondary weapon, an explosion. As long as something is killed and you've damaged it before, you'll activate bloodlust. There's no cooldown on this either, so it's always there. Right. However, if you want to be the kind of playstyle where you can run gas and ore objectives, then you want to consider using logistics training, just like how I mentioned it for the sniper. So anytime you're holding a toad from hive core, an ammo can, or even a canister of gas or ore, you're going to be running super fast. Okay. So there you go. All right. So those are the perks. What about the weapons, though? For the ranger, you want something that has really, really fast time to kill weapons. So I'm thinking like, flamethrower with the, where is it? The volatile mixture ammo modification, where it's 100% extra direct damage. Any of the pump shotguns, not the auto shotgun, because that takes a little bit to put down even a single bug. You want stuff that can die in like 1 to 2 hits. So shotguns. You might even want to even consider using the E-Pulse, whatchamacallit? The E-Pulse 88. That's the one from the Guardian class, or even the E-Pulse 44A2 from, I think that's the Medic class. Those things can bypass armor and hit the bug behind the bug that you just hit. So over penetration, basically. Or you want something like the SMG, although it doesn't deal a lot of damage per shot. It spits out a lot of rounds in a very short amount of time. So things like that, also even the grenade launcher. For a very long time, I used to run grenade launcher with a ranger because it absolutely devastates a lot of bugs all at once. Right, so those are some really great examples of weapons you should use, and the secondary weapon should always just be the Emancipator, because this thing can be a really good general purpose weapon, great for counter sniping gunners, right? All the other pistols besides the Liberator cannot hit something at long range and still pack a heck of a punch. All right, utilities. We have 3 options. Rally Beacon is very rarely used, and to get more use out of your utilities, just stick with Scan Pulse and Scan Beacon. That's just going to allow you and the team to deal more damage to any bug that gets scanned. Rally Beacon has very limited uses because someone has to die in order to respawn and then select that rally beacon as the next redeploy zone. And for the grenades, it's got to be the high X grenade because you're going to be moving around so much. And even if you're not even planning to be a scout, you still need to have this equipped because you can one-shot tigers and smaller bugs and even bug holes. Okay. So you're going to be able to respond to these things the quickest out of all the different classes. Okay. So this kind of just brings me into the next gameplay tip, number 3. All right. Bug holes, which I already mentioned, and eradicating enemy patrols. So let's talk about bug holes, right? They are supposed to be in like fixed positions, but to me, they always seem to be a little bit randomized for the most part. But why you should, destroy bug holes and why you should do them very quickly is because that if you leave them alone, they're just going to continually spawn bugs, and that's going to really devastate any nearby trooper that's trying to do an objective. And this goes for both game modes, right? For advanced and secure and on arc mode. If you let these things go, no one's going to be able to do the objectives. You'll know there's a bug hole if the bugs keep coming from one specific direction. You might not be able to notice this when you're like on ground level. You'll probably notice this a lot better if you get a little bit of elevation. Another indicator that a bug hole is nearby is when the bugs just don't stop coming at you and things are pretty hectic, right? So that's another great indication that there's a bug hole. You need to go and close it. But the other thing is patrols. So in both game modes, there are patrols, and usually they spawn in quite a good distance away from the immediate area where the troopers are at. So the Rangers are one of the best classes to go and respond to those situations. And if you have like a grenade launcher or a flamethrower, you're gonna be able to put them down in, I don't know, like less than a minute. Kind of depends on how fast they can spawn in. So the faster that you can kill them, the faster they'll spawn back in, and then boom, you just completed the patrol. Eradicated it, right? Okay, so moving into the next gameplay tip. This is going to be specifically for arc mode. We're talking about hive cores, okay? So the Ranger is actually the best class to go after these damn things. I'm sure it starts to spawn after X amount of minutes, but I don't know what it is. But when it does activate, you need to drop whatever it is that you're doing and go after the hive cores as soon as possible, right? So why are hive cores so deadly? Why do we need to go after them? All right, let me tell you. Hive cores, if you let the timer expire, I think you usually get like 4 to 5 minutes to complete it. If it expires, the game immediately goes into infinite horde mode. Some people think it's fun, some people think it's funny, and it's cool. I don't think so. If you're someone like me that has a limited amount of time to play every day or even every week, right? You got responsibilities that you need to do. You got other things you need to take care of your body, like, exercise. Maybe you gotta, cook dinner for your family, right? So time is important. So if a game goes into infinite horde mode, most likely what that means is that the game's going to be a wash. You're going to lose. Everyone's going to be pissed off. You're probably going to be pissed off too, right? Because you just wasted your time. You want to win, right? Winning is fun, and you get more XP that way, right? So that's like the biggest reasons why you should go and like destroy these hive cores. A respect for your time and respect for other people's time that are like you that might have other responsibilities where it limits your amount of game time. Okay. And yeah, can't tell you how many times Infinite Horde has been triggered and people think it's funny. And it's like, oh yeah, let's keep killing the bugs. Like, nah, I want to complete the game and move on to something else. Okay. All right. So, when you do get to the hive core, though, sometimes there's going to be one hive core that you need to blow up. Sometimes there's two. Sometimes there's three. Right. So what you need to do when you get to the hive core is you need to go in there fast, and you need to do this quickly before you draw aggro from. Hate to say it, but draw that aggro from that royal guard. Sometimes there'll be one. Sometimes there'll be two and three. Right. There's always at least one per hive core. So get in there before you attract any attention. Bugs will spawn as you get closer to it. Don't destroy any of the eggs because that'll also spawn bugs in too. And depending on the hive core, you can check this on the attack map. It'll always list what kind of hive core it is. Sometimes it'll be drone, sometimes it'll be warrior, sometimes it'll be tiger, sometimes it'll be gunners. So anything that's not a drone can quickly become something really scary. And if you pop too many eggs, it's going to be impossible to nuke these hive cores. Right. So what if you happen to trigger aggro from the royal guard and other bugs? Right. You can't successfully plant the nuke. Well, on each hive core, there's always a spot just to the left or right of where you can place the nuke. It's going to be kind of slightly above it to the left or right. And sometimes there'll be a spot directly above it. So you can actually climb on top of that part of the hive core, and none of the bugs will be able to hit you, even if there's a royal guard right there. For some reason, they won't attack you. So take that to your advantage, and then just crouch and look down at where you can place the nuke, and you can actually interact with it. Place it, and then get the hell out of there, right? So that's a tactic that you should take to heart. Okay. Moving on to the last gameplay tip for the Ranger. Ideally, the best way to play as a Ranger is to always be on the bounce and be outside of the base, right? And if you're playing on just advanced and secure, you want to be moving around the field a lot. Moving from one engagement zone to the other, providing covering fire for the troopers. Keep an eye out specifically for anyone that is about to become very overwhelmed by the bugs, and you pop in, put a few rounds in the bugs, draw their attention away from them, and then kite them, lure them away and eradicate them. All right, and you can also kind of turn yourself into a pocket medic if you grab some first aid stims. You can just boost jet in really fast, pop the stim on them, and then get out. So that's the ideal way to play it. Drop the scans, get the scans going, and then deal a mass amount of damage. All right, so that's the Ranger. Okay, let's now talk about the Demolisher. Alrighty, here we go. So let's start with the best gear and the perks. So the best weapons that you should be using are The grenade launcher and the sniper rifle, but only the sniper rifle when you throw on the explosive rounds on it. All right. You want to play to your class's strength, which is all about making things go kaboom. And any other weapons, well, they're not going to be really effective in the hands of the Demolisher, right? Because the Demolisher has a passive trait that isn't really mentioned anywhere, but like they deal a lot more damage with explosions. How much it is, I don't remember. It's in a very old patch note somewhere on their website. Okay, so another thing that you want to consider using or thinking about is like what kind of grenade you want to use, right? Well, there's three really good options here. Every class has access to the basic grenade, the MX-90, but with the Demolisher, you also get access to napalm grenades, which is area of denial stuff. Any bugs that are near the fire they don't want to walk through it. Another one is the cluster grenade. It's the weakest of the three, but it's good for close range explosion support. This thing will break into a bunch of different smaller pieces, and then each one will detonate. Creates a large blast radius, or like a blast radius zone, where it can stun a lot of bugs all at once, right? So if you use this at close range, maybe like 5 meters is the ideal range. You can halt a bug stampede pretty effectively, and yeah, it'll be tricky to use, but well worth the try because it can be kind of interesting and fun to use. However, the best one is the lure grenade. This thing can draw aggro from the bugs, and wherever this thing detonates, the bugs will be attracted to the hologram that is produced from the grenade. So this is by far the best one because you can quite literally control where the bugs go and what they do. All right. As far as utilities go, well, unfortunately, we don't really have too many options, but uh, these things have been updated in update 11. You can now toss them about 3 meters, so you don't have to like look directly at the ground anymore and hope that um, the game recognizes that you're trying to place this on the ground. Now you can just kind of toss it, which is nice. Right. However, some of the best perks that you should be using are improved grenade cooldown, which will give you an extra grenade to throw. So you can now get a total of, um, I think it's like 2 or 3 charges from your barrage ability. So let's just assume it's 2, because I can't remember right now. So 2 from there, 1 grenade you can just have because it's there for you, and then 1 more from improved grenade cooldown. Oh no, not grenade cooldown. Thinking of grenade belt. My bad. That gives you 1 extra grenade, so you get 4 total. 4 total chances to throw out a grenade. All right, so with the grenade belt, right? That's the one that gives you the extra grenade, but it gives you a minus 50% grenade recharge rate. That's okay. And then the improved grenade cooldown actually reduces the grenade cooldown duration. By how much? I don't know. I never tested it. But use it in conjunction with the grenade belt. The next one is the extra primary. So this one is interchangeable. Now, if you want to use 2 primary weapons, meaning the grenade launcher and the sniper rifle, the explosive round, then use the extra primary perk. If you don't, a really good alternative is going to be the Watkins trigger or the prosthetic servos. Let's talk about the better of the two. So Watkins trigger, right? Every time that you go down, you can self-detonate, and anything that hasn't been detonated yet in your toolkit will be used as a final kaboom to eradicate any bugs near you. And this is not going to spend a reinforcement ticket, all right? However, just don't do that on horde mode because you're not going to be able to come back after that. But this is really great when an objective is just getting absolutely hammered, or the base is getting absolutely hammered in one section. Go in there, shoot off some explosives, and then let the bugs eat you, then you Watkins. So every Demolisher should be using Watkins trigger, right? This is the best of the best of the best. Okay, so the prosthetic servos, though, is another thing that you can like swap in and out. So this thing will just allow you to throw objects a little further, 1.5 times further, and it's going to increase your melee damage and, you know, knock some stuff back when you hit them. However, this is primarily used for destroying bug corpses. It's going to kind of work the same way how a shovel does. So every time you punch something, it quite literally destroys the bug corpse. Okay, so that's a lot of good stuff you should know. Also, an extra thing, I heard that if you use the explosive weapons on the Marauder, or, you know, the Babar, that also increases the damage on that if you're playing as a Demolisher. Something interesting to know. All right, gameplay tip number 2: your role on the battlefield. All right, so what you should be doing is crowd control, meaning you break up large mobs of bugs, you lure things away from other people, you deny them areas of the combat zone that you're in. You're also responsible for bug corpse removal. The thermocharge, let me get the name of it. Yeah, the thermocharge and the nuclear det pack can destroy multiple bug corpses. If you have prosthetic servos on, that's also really good for destroying the bug corpses. And if you have a grenade launcher with a napalm rounds or even the flamethrower, that's also good for destroying bug corpses. So that's kind of what you need to do as a Demolisher. But when it comes to like base defense, you need to keep an eye out for base breach zones. You're going to be pretty good at closing the threat in those areas and waiting for an engineer to come in and close the gap. But you can really control what gets in and what goes out at that point because of the high explosive damage that you can do. Right, a Demolisher is also really good at defending an objective, right? If you're good at defending a base breach, you're also going to be really good at defending an objective. So, you know, like the refineries or a point capture if you're playing on Advanced Secure or Resource Cache, which can be found in both game modes. So that's another thing that you can do. Also, patrols, which can be found in both game modes. Demolishers are really good at doing that too. And if they happen to go down in the process of getting there or even during the patrol mission, well, no problem. Watkins trigger that, right? All right, moving into gameplay tip number 3: how to help with Hive Core. All right, so a Demolisher can kind of do this solo, but they can also just help out in general for people that are also trying to get rid of the Hive Core. So you can lure the bugs away from the Hive Core if you get the lures, and if a Royal Guard just so happens to get in your face or someone else's face, you can just unleash as much explosive damage on it as possible, and then hopefully you can take it out or destroy them. Some and pray that somebody else can come in and then place the nuke back because well, sometimes these hive cores can be pretty far from the base. So those are some ways that you can help with hive cores. Just keep in mind to not destroy too many eggs because they'll spawn in a bunch of bugs. So whatever the hive core is, every egg has a chance to spawn in that specific bug type. So just keep that in mind. All right, so what should you do if the hive core gets away from you, or if the threat level just maxes out right from uncontrolled patrols? Right, well, you need to just stick with a base. Typically, that's what demolishers should do. Find a section of the base that is getting hit the hardest. It's usually just from one direction, sometimes two. And then once you identify those zones, you throw everything you've got, you detonate everything you've got, you shoot everything you got, and then you go out in a ball of fire and let the bugs eat you, and you just go self-explodey with the Watkins trigger, and then you rinse and repeat until either the game is lost, which usually it does, or when the objectives are completed, and you go into the final base preparation phase, and then you fight one more horde and you extract. All right. However, a demolisher can work pretty well as a support unit for anyone that is trying to do the objectives to close the game out. You can use your lure grenades to draw the bugs away from the more important troopers that are trying to get to the objective zone. Your job is to get things away from them. If you're the only one out there trying to do these objectives, then you need to stagger the use of your barrage and hand-thrown grenades. So, throw one out, and you move up. And if anything gets close to you, you eradicate them. And hopefully you have enough supplies and grenades left to do the objective. All right, so that's horde mode, or infinite horde wave, I should say. Okay, so let's talk about the last thing: do's and don'ts of Watkins trigger. All right, so if you are too close to a refinery, either one, or gas, if you Watkins trigger, you might actually destroy any canister that's in the docking bay of those things. So be very, very careful. If you're going to Watkins trigger, do it away from the refineries. And when these canisters do get blown up, I think they still take out anybody that's near them, so you can quickly become a traitor, and then people can kill you, and then you get kicked out of the game. Even if it's on accident, people will annihilate you because you've done a dumb thing. Alright. Also, these things can be detonated from any projectile weapon, but even more susceptible to explosives. So if you're gonna be fighting near a refinery, make sure you shoot your shots a little bit of a distance away from the refineries, okay? Alright, so when you are at an objective zone, if it's super, super far away, like hundreds and hundreds of meters away from the respawn zone where the mobile HQ is, You probably don't want to Watkins trigger, because if you do that, yeah, you gotta like run all the way back, and it's gonna be a long trek back there, and well, the objective zone might have been lost at that point. So if you're in that particular situation, then wait for someone to try and revive you. That way you can still provide some supporting fire for the team in that zone. But if you have absolutely zero ammo, then just go ahead and Watkins trigger. You'll respawn with full ammo. Okay. Some other cases where you shouldn't use Watkins trigger is during extraction. There's no coming back from that during extraction phase, so just don't do it. If you're gonna go down and there's like absolutely no way for someone to get you, or you want to try to save someone else that's about to get crunched on, well, maybe you want to consider using the Watkins trigger so that at least they can make it back to the drop ship. Okay. So yeah, those are some things you should not do for Watkins trigger, but some stuff you can do when you're Watkins triggering is that if the objective is like super close to the base, go ahead, do it as many times as you want. Same for like base defense. Go ahead, do it as many times as you want. Have fun. Go to town on it. Show the bug who's boss. Okay. All right. So that's the Demolisher. Okay, let's now talk about the Guardian. Okay, so let's talk about Siege Shield Bash tips. Okay, so with the Siege mode, when you deploy this shield, I forget how far away a bug can be, but at least within a meter of you, any bug that is in that range will get knocked back and will be stunned for a few seconds. So it's useful for base breaches, useful if you need to go in and revive someone. So run up to them, ideally be right next to them, and then pop the siege mode, and then you go and revive them. Also, it could be interesting enough for you to try and run up to a large mob of bugs and then deploying the siege mode. So that can really disrupt the pathing of the bugs. So just kind of stay in the siege mode for a few seconds and try to take some bug outs and then run the hell away. So that's another interesting use for the siege mode shield. And you can even run up to a trooper that's about to get mulched and gulped on by the bugs and activate it then. That'll buy the trooper some time to back off, heal, reload, right? And then hopefully they help provide you a little cover fire. So don't underestimate the power of this stunning effect when you use it in this particular style. All right. What about gears and perks though? Gameplay tip number 2. Let's talk about the perks first. All right. So the stuff you want to use is synthetic under armor. It's gonna cut the melee damage by 50%. You also really should be using hardened ceramic plates. That's going to cut down the damage 50% from ranged bug attacks. Another really good one is Regenerative Matrix. It gives you a extra health pool that can regenerate. You just need to be not in combat for a few seconds for it to start regenerating. Alright, so those are like the top 3 that you should be using. Some people would say you always need to use bug pheromones because they'll draw bugs away from other troopers and prioritizes you as a attack target. Even without this perk on, you just naturally do it because I think they're coded in some way to draw more aggro from them. And I really don't like using it anyways because it attracts too much attention from bombardiers. Either variant of it can one hit kill a guardian, which is a no go. And I hate to say it, but like most guardians spend too much time in siege mode, and that really locks down their mobility. And when a bombardier does show up, they typically land outside of your view, on top of the shield, behind the shield, inside the shield, or on top of your head. And there's no way for you to get out of that zone and not become a casualty. All right. So it's up to you to use it, but I just listed off a few reasons why you shouldn't. All right. Another really good perk to use is the phalanx formation. You need to have 3 people with you, but that'll give you 25% damage resistance, and any other trooper that's near you will get 10% damage resistance. And I think if multiple people are running phalanx formation, then it kind of like stacks a little bit, right? At least I have been told it doesn't so far, so there you go. All right, what about the weapons? Some of the best weapons that you can use are the saw, the flamethrower. Surprisingly, I had a lot of success with the SMG if you're kind of a more mobile playstyle of the Guardian. So pop the siege mode, and then when they're stunned, go on the SMG, hit them in the weak point. You can get a lot of bugs that way. The other weapons that can make really good, or can be really good in the hands of a Guardian, are the pump shotgun, not the slug. Uh, what else? There was another one. Oh, the E-Pulse 88 and the 44. Those are really good options. Every class can always make use of the grenade launcher, but I feel like with the Guardian, you kind of need to have more of a run and gun mentality. So the grenade launcher works. I've tried it, but I feel like the other weapons are a little more better suited for this class. Okay, so uh, oh yeah, I forgot. There's actually one more perk that you might want to consider using, and that's actually the oops, let me pull it back up here. Logistics training. The Guardian can actually surprisingly be a pretty good canister runner, right? For either or gas. They have a lot of health. The siege uh, shield bash can buy them time to keep running, and the if you melee with the canister, it instantly stuns all the bugs that you hit with it, and you can take a little bit of a beating and keep on running. So I mean, if you want to be a objective runner like that, that's a totally valid play style. All right. Secondary weapons, I've already mentioned it so many times. It's always going to be the Emancipator utilities. I feel like any one of them can work, but I prefer the shock field device and portable sentry combo. I like the shock field device because it covers a larger area than a deployable shield can, and the bugs can always kind of walk over that too. However, with the shock field device, as soon as they step one pincer in it, they're stunned. And if you use the portable sentry turret, that's going to give you extra weapon system to back you up. So there's nothing wrong with running those two. All right, those are the best two in my opinion. All right, and the grenade, I feel like you would get a lot of good mileage out of the shock grenade or the cluster grenade. Now remember, the cluster grenade's a little clunky to use because the way in which you detonate it and how far close you need to be to throw it. Uh, but the potential to stun a lot of things is, I think it provides a good utility for this class. Same with a shock grenade. Like it has a very large explosive radius that can instantly stun a ton of bugs. Doesn't deal a lot of damage. However, it can one-hit kill drones and bombardiers. Interesting to know, right? Okay. What else? Oh, look at that. Uh, that canister, the logistics perk was gameplay tip number 3. Oops. Well, we're moving into gameplay tip number 4. I jumped the gun there. My bad. So gameplay tip number 4. Watch out for ranged units, but most importantly, watch out for those goddamn bombardiers. Doesn't matter if it's the fire one or the regular one. The detonation can one-hit kill any trooper that's really close to it, including a guardian. Alright. So supposedly, you can disable the explosion when you melee it. I've tried it a couple times, but it doesn't work. They still detonate. So take that with a grain of salt. I mean, that's what it was described as in one of the last several updates, that you can disable it. So it is a part of the game, but it doesn't always work in actuality. All right. So don't get stuck in siege mode all the time because what I already described earlier, those bombardiers can get around you really easily and then end your run real quick. So yeah, to get around the other two major ranged bugs, the Inferno and Grenadier, you just need to simply look up and scan the horizons for any plasma or fireball that comes your way. All right, it can be a little hard to do if you're in a heavy combat situation, but just take that extra second and look up because you need to really be on the lookout for those things. They can one hit shot you really good. So be careful out there. Okay, moving into the last gameplay tip, Objective Defender. The Guardian, kind of like, how the name implies, they're really good at guarding things. So if you're going to be near an objective zone that has like, a refinery or like repair the generators thing, anything where you gotta stay in one zone for a little bit, just deploy your shock device, your walls, your turrets. However, don't deploy the siege mode right away. Wait for the bugs to pop up. They get too close, you pop the siege mode, you knock them back. Then rinse and repeat. Try not to stay in this siege mode all the time though, for the reasons I already mentioned. Alright, so if you do this, you'll give your team more time to fight back. They're not going to be hunted down by the bugs, and you just kind of rinse and repeat this process until the objective is done. Okay, so that's the tips for the Guardian. Okay, let's talk about the Engineer. All right, so just like the Ranger, you need to have fast time to kill weapons, right? The same stuff I mentioned earlier. You want the shotguns, the flamethrower. Hell, you need the Hawkeye. The Hawkeye can put down a warrior in about 4 hits. Same thing for a gunner. Each shot can stun them. So it's a general purpose weapon that works really well. So when you use these fast time to kill weapons, this is going to allow you to pivot around more and spend more time repairing and building structures. So this will just reduce the amount of downtime that you have to deal with any bug that gets in your face. So remember, play to your class strengths, and that is to build and repair. Gameplay tip number 2. Be aware of bug mobs, or large cluster of bugs, tigers, and royal guards. So, I hate to say it, but the engineer is quite literally the weakest class in the game. Simply because they don't have any real gimmick to survive in the battlefield besides building stuff, which can easily be taken advantage of because it takes time to get the build tool out, takes time to place the blueprint, build the object, and for most engineers, they're going to die in the process of doing that. So, that's why engineers are pretty weak, and they cannot take too many hits either. 3-4 hits and you're down. I mean, most classes are besides the guardian, but most of the other classes have some kind of trick up their sleeves where they can evade that situation or just quite literally have a second chance at life, like the ranger and the medic. Right. So some tips to not die so fast is to don't draw aggro from the bugs. If you see bugs in the distance on the horizon, let the other team initiate contact and let them do all the shooting, and then you start laying down some covering fire. That way, the bugs, they'll go after the person that shot them first, typically, and then you'll be alive. You can also, depending on the grenade that you use, if you use a napalm grenade, you can block them off from charging you. The chem grenade will slow them down and does both deal damage over time. So you can use those two things to kind of keep yourself alive for a little bit longer until backup shows up. All right. Which leads me into gameplay tip number 3, survivability tactics and building mobile field fortifications. All right, so a perk that you should consider using is lead-lined plates. Just keep in mind that your mantling speed is going to be atrociously slow. Molasses will move faster than you do, and that's terrible when you need to mantle something like getting in and out of a base, or even over a buck corpse. But buck corpses are more forgiving because you can just use your shovel to destroy them to get it out of your way. So with lead-lined plates, you can tank one hit from a tiger, right? Most classes can't do that on their own. But if you happen to have lead-lined plates on, you're going to survive that first hit. Most likely not going to survive the second hit, but you'll survive the first hit. So that's a thing. Another thing that you should consider using is phalanx formation. Like I mentioned earlier, you need 3 people to be near you. You get 25% damage resistance, and everybody else gets 10%. Some other things that you can use are the shock beacons and proximity bug mines. Those are really useful utilities to keep the bugs at arm's length. And if you combine this with field fortifications, such as like a bunch of short walls, well, then you got yourself a pretty good setup. So use your class ability to build short walls around an objective zone. Ideally, you want to do this before the objective is activated. Most times people will rush to activate it, but if you can, let the team know that you want to build something, and sometimes they'll let you do it. But ideally, you should let engineers build stuff first so that everybody can benefit from having some cover against the bugs. Right? It makes it a little bit easier. And then while you're doing this, you might as well build ammo crates and ammo fabricators for the team to use, because more ammo is always good. Just make sure you dismantle the stuff that you built and destroy the ammo fabs, use up all the ammo from the ammo crates. All that will refund your personal ore reserves so that you can use it somewhere else. Okay, moving into gameplay tip number 4. The best perks to use. Play to your class strengths. Remember that, okay? So you got to use reinforced repairs. So that's going to allow you to add a extra layer of durability to a structure. So I don't see why you shouldn't use it. Okay. It's really, really useful, especially if the base is getting hit hard. That extra layer of durability can make a world of difference. Next thing you should use is the, where is it? The powered up build tool. That's going to give you plus 300% build and repair speed. So if you're in a situation where you're on the last set of walls outside of the mobile HQ, or not the mobile HQ, that's for horde mode. For the arc, advanced and secure in arc mode, the critical asset is the arc. If that blows up, you lose, right? So if you're on the last set of walls around the arc, well, you're going to be outpacing the damage output of the bugs if you have powered up build tool and reinforced repairs, okay? Those two are the best perks that the engineer should always use. Everything else is kind of, secondary to that. And I don't know, what other perks can you use? Good question. I think that those are the best ones to use, honestly. A third one that you can consider using is really important for arc mode is refined. So the refined perk just speeds up the ore and gas extraction rate for the refineries. That's really gonna speed it up, and you can get all 4 canisters in probably less than a minute or two. And wow, it goes by fast. So if you want to get stuff done quickly, get that refined perk. All right, moving into the last gameplay tip for the engineer. It's all about the arc. So anybody in advanced and secure and arc mode can repair the arc, but the best person to do it is you, the engineer. All right, you're going to be the best person to do it because you got advanced build tool and you got reinforced repairs. Now, just keep in mind in both game modes it will cost some ore. Not as important to pay attention to when you're on advanced and secure, but a little bit more on arc mode. Ideally, you want to have at least 2,000 to 4,000 reserve ore so you can build more ammo crates and use it to repair the arc. But a lot of people don't do that still, and it really bugs me. I don't understand why. The arc blows up, you lose the game. You could be doing really well for 99% of the game, but as soon as that arc takes a hit, you need to drop whatever it is that you're doing. You run your ass to the arc to defend it and repair it. There have been so many games where people just lose because they don't pay attention to the arc. Yikes, right? So don't get caught up fighting all the time. You always want to be on the lookout to repair walls and any other structures that have been damaged. This includes marauders now. Okay. You can see a wall or structure about to collapse if it produces a little puff of smoke. It only does it in the instance where it first starts taking that critical hit where it's about to go. Hits after that, I don't think they make that puff of smoke. And a auditory cue will also be sounded, be like a really loud metallic clanging noise. So that's something you should be keeping an eye and ear out for. Uh, so hopefully that can help you out with repairing stuff. But the most important, just stick with the arc. Keep that repaired. All right, that's it for the engineer. Okay, folks, this is the last one, and it's going to be my most favorite class. I usually play this. It's my primary class. My main. It's the medic. Alright, so with the medic, you can do objectives solo, most times. You can only do this if you have the bug deterrent on. I don't know the exact range on this, but I've been like, up to 100 meters away from anybody, and the bugs leave me alone. Alright, so why should you run objective solo as a medic? Well, sometimes everyone else is going to be too busy fighting, and they're stuck in that, mind frame where like you gotta kill the bugs, gotta kill the bugs. Well, sometimes the bugs just don't stop, spawning. So you need to move up the field and get to the objective zone. That's the game director's way of like trying to get people to move. Typically, when bugs hit your position really hard, people kind of freeze and they camp almost indefinitely sometimes. And that's when the brave few troopers need to move out and do the objectives, one of them being the medic sometimes. So you can slip away from the engagement zone, get to the objective, and start it up. Sometimes, though, additional bugs will spawn in, so you need to eradicate them. So that's the only downfall of running things solo. Sometimes the bugs can pop up on you like that. Sometimes even a bug hole, which is annoying. Uh, Oh yeah, some other reasons why you should do this if it's on like threat level maximum. That can be a mutator that you can run across. So that's being able to slip away and do the objectives, and that mutator can be really useful for the team. And if you're on arc mode, you can also do this during infinite hordes and complete the objectives that way. So those are some cases when you should do that. All right, gameplay tip 2. Where and when to place first aid stim fabricators. Well, if you're on the bounce and you're moving around for either game mode, place it near the objectives. If not, put it outside the entrance to a bunker, the Arc, Mobile HQ, ammo crates, and light posts that some engineer made. Those are usually the gathering spots that people kind of always pass by, and you can put these on top of walls, but just be careful. If the wall or any structure really, if any structures you put this on top of gets destroyed, that fabricator goes with it. So always try to put it on the ground. That way, if something does get taken down, the fabricator will still be there. And if it does get destroyed by the bugs, it does explode and have like a little explosive yield. You can't always get a kill off it, but if you're that desperate, it can be used in that manner. So what else? Oh yes, almost forgot. Well, anytime you start up a game, always deploy the maximum amount of the stim fabricators at the entrance of the dropship. Grab some after that, and then go back inside the dropship and reload on your fabricators from the ammo crate. The reason why you want to do this is because, if people are spawning in late or they didn't think of grabbing them at the start, well, they're gonna need it at the first objective zone or when they get to the base in arc mode. So that's why you want to do that at the start and then reload on them. Right. And if you're in advanced and secure, by the time you get to the first objective zone, some people might have taken a lot of damage and used up some of the first aid stims. Also, again, if they are coming into the game late, then they'll need to get some first aid stims from the fabricators. Oh, another thing about the bunkers thing is that always place them outside the bunkers when you're in advanced and secure, because people spawn on those during the game. Also useful for latecomers that are joining the game late. So always place them in those locations and always reload on them right away, because you never know when you might need to deploy another one, either for people that need it or for when you need it and you've been using the stim fabs, I mean the stims to heal and revive people, especially if it's like a mass casualty event. You need to have one extra fabricator on you to re-up on the stims. All right, so place it one at a time, and if the team destroys it accidentally or the bugs destroy it, just go ahead and deploy another one. So kind of like stagger how many you place out in the field if you're kind of mobile and running around. All right, gameplay tip number 3. You need to be proactive instead of reactive, right? So instead of waiting for people to croak over and die, you should actually make it your best effort to heal people. So you the best way to do it rapidly is to use the stim dart, but it can be very inaccurate. So just keep that in mind. Mounds of dirt, other troopers, sometimes even a little rock. Those things can get in the way. If you're seeing that happen a lot, just switch over to your first aid stims and then run up to people and do it that way. Now, with the first aid stims, the dart version, it doesn't provide full healing. It always provides a certain amount of their HP. So it might take a few darts to get them back up to 100% health. But usually, 2 darts is enough to heal them up to a decent amount of health so they can keep going. All right. Some other things when it comes to healing is that the UAV drone actually provides passive healing on any difficulty level. A little hard to spot on easy and normal because you just naturally regenerate health, but try this on hard difficulty. I think it only has a few meter radius, and it always starts with a medic and then it moves to the next person that has the lowest health. All right. So if you want to save on your supplies, just walk around near people and it'll heal them up over time. Alrighty. Another thing. Let's talk about the heal beacon. Now, every few seconds, it will provide healing similar to how the stim dart works. It only does a little bit at a time. Not enough to keep up pace with someone that's on fire or someone that's getting punched a lot by bugs. Not the best thing to use, but it's there for you to use it. The best things are available for the medic is the first aid stim dart and the first aid stim fabricator. All right. Let's see. All right. Reviving people. Everybody can do it, but you can do it the best because you have your UAV drone. You can hold down the class ability button, and you can like pivot around. That will allow you to aim more accurately with this with a UI, and then once it turns green, that's when you know it's locked on to somebody, and then you can release the button to send a drone out. Right. Another perk that you can use to revive someone is on your feet. I think it has like a 22 meter distance. It can't go through objects, it can go through bugs, it can go through other troopers. You just need to look in their general direction and be within 22 meters. Also, if you have bug turned on, which you should always have, you really need to run into a mob of bugs to revive someone. Don't be a coward, because as long as you don't damage a bug, they're not going to hit you. And sometimes even if you do hit them, they're going to still ignore you. Right, so as a medic, you should not be afraid of dying. Right, because if you do go down, if you have charges left on your UAV drone, you're going to be revived by your own drone. And then you got a few seconds of invulnerability where you can then revive the person that you're trying to get, right? Okay, moving on to gameplay tip 4, environmental awareness in combat, right? So I hate to say it, but a really bad medic is one that fights all the time. It's a no-no. You don't want to be in a babar. You don't want to be on a machine gun turret. Right? Ideally, you want to be somewhere up a little bit high so that you can see what's around you. So look around, your environment. Be on the lookout for anybody that is on low health that has died, and pick them back up as fast as you can. Because the more troopers you have up and running around means there's more weapons online that can eradicate the bugs, which will make it easier for everyone to do their jobs and complete the objectives, right? Also, good environmental awareness is something everybody should work on. Important because it lets you be aware of immediate threats in your vicinity, right? So as a medic, you're very susceptible to inferno bugs because they block off a lot of the environment in which you can run in. So those fire blasts are atrocious and they stay for several seconds. And I mean, you can run through it, but you're probably going to die. And that fire is going to prevent you from traversing to someone that needs the healing or to be revived. And it can be pretty annoying to deal with that. So just keep an eye out for it. Sometimes they'll aim directly at you, so if you see that happening, get the hell out of the way and reposition yourself, okay? Alright, the last gameplay tip. Best perks and gear to use so you can stay mobile. Alright, first one, I'm just going to go off my list here. I'm going to go with, let's go with the perks. So some of the best perks that you can use, oops, let me get the chart up here. So number one best pick is going to be bug deterrent. That will allow the bugs to deprioritize you as a target. This will allow you to get into a group of bugs to heal and revive people. There can be like 10, 15 bugs between you and the bug, you and the other trooper. As long as there's another trooper that's not been knocked down, the bug should leave you alone. Unless you shoot at them, they might reconsider their life choices. Also, if it's just two mechs side by side and they both have bug deterrent, well, they kind of just turn each other off, and you're both equal targets. So just kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to be next to another medic. All right. Another good perk that you should always be using is the utility satchel. Gives +1 to all utilities. So that's going to give you one extra magazine of stim darts. It's going to give you one extra stim fabricator. So you should never leave home without it. Uh, Another one that you can kind of interchange is on your feet perk and the phalanx formation perk. So, I mean, the phalanx formation, it's great for when you want to, reduce the damage taken for you and the other troopers. But also, on your feet perk, like I mentioned already, can be used to revive people through objects. So, if a trooper happens to die on top of the dropship during extraction, if you angle it just right, you can get the revive off of them. I think the best way to do it is like on the ramp, but people need to cover you so the bugs don't push you when they hit you. All right, so it's the perks. The healing items, though, best ones to use are first aid stim dart, first aid stim fabricator. The first aid stim fabricator is going to allow other people to manage their own health and help you revive people in mass casualty events. And it's going to allow guardians and rangers to become pocket medics. So don't worry about them taking your job away. You're always going to be the best one at reviving and healing people because you got the UAV drone and some other gear like the stim dart. But that's just going to allow you to help the team out even more. Right? This is a team cooperative game. This is not a Call of Duty I want all the points game kind of thing. Right? And I haven't touched on the combat stim fabricator at all. I kind of forgot about it, but some people really like to use it for the mobility option because it provides a boost to your running speed. I mean, it now does health regeneration, but if it really came down to it and I wanted to revive people, the combat stim fabricator will never do that. They can never save a life, all right? So that's why I don't like using the combat stim fabricator. All right, so grenades. It's either shock grenade or chem grenade. It's MX90 is good and all, but the extra utility that these shock grenades and chem grenades give you are better. A shock grenade can even stun a tiger. One hit kills drones and bombardiers, so why not use it? And then the chem grenade, it slows down anything that comes into contact with it, and it provides damage over time. So use this, throw it in a large group of bugs, or throw it in a base breach, and yeah, just go to town. However, with the Mac, you also want to have really fast time to kill weapons. Because you want stuff to die as soon as possible so that you can get to a trooper that needs to be healed or revived. Yeah, it's like, unfortunately, there are several classes here that need those fast time to kill weapons, and the medic is also one of them. Because time is of the essence when a life is on the line. Kind of corny to say, but that's the truth. So again, those kind of things are going to be the pump shotguns, the Marita Hawkeye, the grenade launcher, what else? The flamethrower. The E-pulse weapons actually make pretty good use as fast time to kill weapons, especially if you use the Dex modification on it. That's going to increase the fire rate. And yeah, there you go. All right, so that's everything. All right, so hopefully that can give you a little bit of help on playing Arc and AAS. However, be on the lookout for my next gameplay video where I talk about transitioning from playing Advanced and Secure and getting more involved in Arc mode. I know a lot of people still kind of like have this like idea where like Arc mode is harder because it kind of is. One of the reasons it's harder for people to communicate for whatever reason in Arc, and people don't just want to communicate at all for whatever reason, right? Whatever. And then the other thing is like balancing all the different objectives that are running at the same time. So if you want to break into that game mode and you've always been kind of hesitant about it, well, I got you covered. I'm going to work on that as soon as I can. Just keep an eye out on it. If you want to be informed of when that video goes live, then consider subscribing to the channel and changing that notification to all. I'll let you know when it does happen. All right, and I appreciate it if you can also hit the like button. If you have another gameplay tip that can be helpful for other people to get better at the game, just list it off in the comments. Yeah. Alrighty, well, I appreciate anybody that's watching this. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. And, well, I will catch you all next time. See you in the battlefield, troopers. Bye-bye.
An arachnid horde of indeterminate size is attacking. This is Vulture 1. Evac is on the way.
Grab your stems and ammo.
I got ways to dig up blown up. Run. If you're not running, I'm not resing. Okay, come on. Run back. Are you staying there, Station?